Hi, I am David Petro from David Petro Casting, and I am the Executive Director and the creator of Broadway Breakthrough. So today, our session is going to be about acting and how to nail your cold readings. So for those of you who don't know, in a cold reading, what happens is you will be asked to come in for an audition, and the casting director will give you a scene or a side that you have to perform within like 10 minutes. So you have 10 minutes that you have to read the scene, understand the character, but then also to really bring that character to life. And normally within 10 minutes, it's impossible to just read the scene, let alone to bring that whole character to life. So what I'd like to talk about is the 6 ways that you can get a script and within 10 minutes that you can bring that character to complete life, give it layers, give it colors, give it all the things that you want to take your audition to a performance. So I have 6 questions that if you can answer these 6 questions, you're going to nail that audition at any time. So here we are, our 6 questions. The first question is, who am I? And I know that sounds so simple. It sounds so easy to say, who am I? Well, my name is David Petro. But to bring a character to life, and we all know David Petro is amazing, but for those of us who don't know who David Petro is, I really need you to tell me. And the more specific you are, and the more intense you are in telling the story, the more you're going to bring that character to life. So we have a scene today from the show Wicked, one of the greatest shows ever, and it's actually my favorite scene from the show Wicked. Who's seen the show Wicked before? Okay, almost everybody. So it's the retelling of The Wizard of Oz. Who's seen The Wizard of Oz before? Awesome. So you know, the 2 main characters in The Wizard of Oz are Glinda the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch. Not Dorothy, because you know, she just floats around and is looking for shoes and it's just weird. But the 2 main characters that I want to focus on today that Wicked is written about is the telling of the Good Witch and basically the Bad Witch before we open in The Wizard of Oz. So in this scene that we're going to look at today, a lot has happened. But just thinking about who are the people, the witch, and who is Glinda, let's talk about some characteristics that would tell us who they are. Who has some ideas of who they are? You can talk about physicality, you can talk about age, you can talk about look, you can talk about personality. Who are they? Who has some ideas? Yes?
So Glinda is blonde and she's very bubbly.
That's perfect. And there's a big difference, and no offense to either. There's a big difference between being blonde and being brunette sometimes. There just are, ladies. And just saying the word blonde, already an idea comes to mind. Bubbly is huge, because that generally means a lot of energy, a lot of intensity. Yes?
Wait, what's the bad witch's name?
Alphaba.
Yeah. She has like green skin.
She's green. Could you imagine being green? Like, it would change your entire life. So being green means you're more of, I would say, an outsider, more that you don't relate to people the same way, that you probably act very differently. You're what we call an introvert, which means everything is inside as opposed to being outside. So these are all great characteristics. So any character that you have, when we say, who am I want to know everything. Are you fat? Are you skinny? Are you tall? Are you short? Are you shy? Are you outgoing? Are you missing a leg? Who knows? It could happen. So when I say who am I, even though it sounds like one basic question, you probably should have 50 different answers to who am I. So question number 1, who am I? Question number 2, where am I? So here today we're at the amazing Ruth Page Performing Arts Center. It's very different to be at Ruth Page than if we were outside in Lincoln Park. It would be cold, it would be wet, it would be snowy, it would be a little bit sunny today, and just see how where am I makes a difference. So let's look at this scene in Wicked, or let's pick a scene in Wicked. So tell me about the Land of Oz.
Green.
Yes.
It's green.
It's green, yeah. So it means colorful and bright, yes.
Very unusual. You wouldn't expect to go and see it out in the open world.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's great. So it's not like today's world where we're just, walking through the streets and we see the normal people. It's a very different world. It's bright and it's fantasy and we would act different than we would normally. So where am I? Huge. I mean, it really changes because if you're somewhere like on a beach with a lot of sand, you are going to physically be and physically think differently than you would if you were in school. It's a very big difference. And so where am I is just as important as the rest because it's going to tell us how we act. Make sense? Good? So far we have who am I and we have where am I. Number 3 is, and this is the biggest point that's going to push our scene to the next level, which is what do I want? Now everybody wants something. Me, I want to be great in this session. I want to continue to be a supermodel, of course, that's always my want. But I want something, even as simple as just talking to you guys today, I want something. And the bigger your want is, and the more you want it, the better the scene and the character are going to be. So let's think about these 2 characters. So we have Glenda, the good witch, and we have Elphaba, who's considered to be the bad witch. What does Glenda want? What does she want? Yes?
Popularity, people to love her.
Yes, she wants people to love her at all times. She can't have anybody not like her. Huge. Yes, what else?
I was going to say at the same time that she wants that, she wants to help Elsa fit in.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's great. So she wants her friends, so she's popular, and everything that she wants is people to like her, but there's this girl who isn't liked, and she still wants to help her be liked also, for whatever her reasons may be. So that's really big, so that's a really big want. Any other wants about Glenda? What about fellas? Yeah, so there's a boy she really likes. She really likes him. So she wants him to like her back. So that's a really big one. And you have this friend you're trying to help, but you also have this guy that you really want, and they're all conflicting. So that's a really big and probably one of the biggest ones. What does Elphaba want? Yes.
She kind of wants more to fit in, like Linda.
I'm sorry, say that again?
She wants more to fit in like Linda.
Yes, she wants to fit in and she wants to be liked. Yes, absolutely. Anything else that she wants? Yes.
She wants to please like her father.
Yes, she wants to please her father. Can you imagine if you had a father or a parent or your guardian who didn't want anything to do with you and really felt that you were sort of the cause of all the problems? So to be liked and loved and supported by your family, we can all relate to that one. These are really good ones. So we have who am I? Number 1, which is great. We have where am I? Also great. Then we have our biggie, what do I want? Now this next one, number 4, is what is my obstacle? So an obstacle is something that gets in the way of getting what you want, and that's big. So what is standing in the way of Glenda getting what she wants? Any idea? So remember, what did Glenda want? She wanted to be liked and be popular, and she also wanted her man. She wanted Vero. So what's standing in the way of her getting what she wants? Any ideas? So, yes.
She kind of pushes people.
Yes.
I know, like that one song, popular obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't really sure, and she keeps pushing and pushing. So maybe that's something that it causes her to fall back.
She's very pushy, yeah, and she sort of, I would think that she stands in her way. We sort of talked about this before. So even though she wants Alpha to be popular, she's getting in the way. She stole her man. So Elphaba, as much as she loves her, Elphaba is the one standing in the way. This is when it gets fighting. This is like fighting in the streets, because she's stealing her man. So that's a really big obstacle, especially when it's somebody you love and somebody you care about, but they're also taking away somebody else that you love and somebody else you care about. See how that's pretty big? What's standing in the way of Elphaba getting what she wants? Remember, she wants to be liked and she wants her father and parents' acceptance. What's standing in her way? Any ideas? Yes.
Is it that she feels she's not good enough for
Oh
Vero?
my gosh, that's great. Yeah, she feels like she's not good enough. I would also say Glenda's standing in her way. The simple thing, what was the thing that you said that described who she was? Oh yeah, that small thing, she's green. Yeah, she's green! So people don't look at her the same way that they look at Glenda, who's blonde and white, and all the other things that she is. So just her own physicality, which is why we asked, who am I? That's standing in the way of her getting what her wants. For yourself to be your very own obstacle, there's really not a lot you can do about that, right? So that's a biggie. So your obstacle is going to take that scene to the next level, because not only do we want, but now we know what's standing in our way. And you all know who gets a little edgy when you want something that you don't get something that you want. I would say I do. When I don't get something that I want, I'm telling you, I will fight you. I will fight you. So, I think we all, when there's something that we want and somebody's telling us no. When's the last time somebody told you no? Do you remember? Who's got a story for me when somebody told you no? Yes.
This year I did Grand Rapids Got Talent, which is like a...
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I made it to the finale, and it wasn't necessarily a no, it was, you didn't win this time, but, yeah, it was complicated. It turned into a popularity contest.
Oh my gosh, it's behind the scenes drama. We love it. That's going to be our next shooting, is the behind the scenes drama. But someone told you no, so how did you react?
I just took it as a motivation to just do it next year, try to keep going, and try to win.
Oh, you're so nice. I personally would have hit someone with a car. But she's like, I just took it as a me up.
There were tears.
There were tears. Of course, there's always tears, and you've earned those tears. And when somebody tells you you can't have something that you really, really want, you know what that's like. So that's big. So finding that obstacle that's really strong is a big part of it. Okay, so we are going on to number 5. And this is something that people don't think about. But remember, we were just handed this piece of material like 10 minutes ago. We were just given this scene, and we have to act it out and be big and life and bring these characters to life in like 10 minutes. So these 6 questions are what's going to make the difference. And this number 5 question is, how do I feel about the other people in the scene? This is so important, because if I'm in a scene with somebody that I absolutely love, I'm of course going to speak to them differently than if it was somebody that I really did not like. Or if it were, say, my best friend or my parents. We're all going to speak to them very differently, correct? So let's talk about a scene. So let's talk about, you guys pick a scene. We've been focusing on Wicked. Pick a musical. Give me a musical. Any musical. Anyone, yes. Annie. We love Annie. Did you guys see the movie Annie? No? That's on camera. But, so let's talk about Annie and Miss Hannigan. How they feel about each other. It's not going so great.
Well, there is that end part where like Miss Hannigan realizes what she's doing.
Exactly.
So,
But let's talk about the beginning. So in the beginning, not going so great. It's like a Jerry Springer episode. You know, there's just fighting and they're hiding dogs, and it's really intense. But then how does Annie speak to, say, Molly, one of the other orphans? Very different, you see? So when you're in a scene with somebody, it's so important to read that scene and say, oh my gosh, I get it. Especially if you have like 5 minutes to like perform a scene. If you know, the simplest thing is, I know that I love the other person in the scene. I do not get anything else right, but I know that I love this person. I can at least speak to that person as if I loved that person, if I just was reading it for the very first time. Does that make sense? And I will tell you, often what happens in an audition, especially in callbacks, is that you've done your material, and right there we go, here, read this scene for me, and you get like 3 seconds in the audition room to go like, read it through, blah, 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 and then you have to perform it, and that's all you get. So if you can just read that scene and be like, I'm in this scene, and I know that this person, I am ready to just kick. Like, I'm not liking this person, right there, you know more than most people. Does that make sense? So how do you feel about the other person in the scene will be a real game changer if you have the answer to that question. We good? So just recapping one more time. Number 1 was, who am I? And remember, as specific and detailed as possible. Number 2, where am I? Everything from the weather, to the look, to the ground, to the where am I? I want every little piece of detail. Number 3, what do I want? So, and really detail, what do I want? What is it that is just driving me in life, but also the scene. Where am I? I can't even count. Number 4! Look at that. I'm a dancer, but no math. Number 4 is, what is my obstacle? What is standing in the way of me getting what I want? Number 5 was, how do I feel about the other people in the scene? And we talked about just from the difference of liking somebody, hating somebody, loving somebody, being frustrated with somebody, being annoyed, that's going to change the way I do a scene and interact with people. Good? Okay, number 6 is a biggie, and it's a little confusing, but again, in a cold reading, if you were given this number 6 question, if you're able to answer it, you'd be able to do this scene within a moment's notice, and that is called the emotional arc. Any idea about what an emotional arc is? Yes?
So where the emotions of the characters really take off.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a roller coaster, you know? When you start a roller coaster and it's really low, and then it goes up, and then it loops, and then it loops again and gives you the surprise. That emotional arc is just like that roller coaster where we need to start at one place, we need to go to another place, we need to take it to another place, and keep the scene going that way. So if you were able to get a scene and read it through once, I can literally go, oh, I get it. Right here, they're starting off really, really angry, but then they're given a piece of information, and now they're more understanding and patient with the person. But then somebody else walks in, and I really don't like that person, and my emotions go there. See, that's an arc, and that means that you're going to play a scene with many, many levels, and many, many intentions, and many, many emotions. Just like all of us, we walk through the day, and you could be walking down the street, and you see one person, and you're like, oh my God, that's my favorite person in the world. And you walk past, and then you're like, oh no, the policeman's here, and you're going to change everything about yourself really quickly. That's how we take this emotional arc. So let's go back to Annie, because we all know it, and we all love that little lady. So let's talk about the scene when Annie finds out that her parents aren't alive. They've done this whole search to find their parents. And so, first off, in my opinion, I am remembering this correctly, Annie is really excited because she thinks she's going to find her parents, and she's in a great place with Daddy Warbucks, and everybody loves her. And she really thinks, she's got hope that this is going to happen. And then she finds out, all in the same scene, that her parents that she's been searching for all these years actually aren't alive. They're not. So obviously, that's going to be a big change in your emotions, clearly, right? But then she finds out in a few seconds later that she's going to be adopted by the richest man in the world. So even though it's not having her parents, it's still, she's going to be safe and she's going to be warm and not have to go back to the orphanage. So we go from a place of hope to a place of disappointment and being incredibly upset, and then going to a place of being excited for your new life. And you see how that can go really simply. And if you can look at a piece of paper and you can say, oh yeah, I'm going to start here with this emotion, I'm going to go here with this emotion, and then I'm going to go all the way here with this emotion, how that would make such a really big difference in your scene. So the 6 questions, just to recap, are: who am I? Where am I? What's the next one, you guys? What do I want? Thank you. What do I want? Number 4 is, what is my obstacle? What's standing in the way of what I want? Number 5 question is, how do I feel about the other people in the scene? And then the last is about the emotional arc, finding different places in that scene where there are different emotions that take you on the roller coaster. Does all that make sense? Do you guys have questions? Pretty cool, right? So I want you to keep this piece of paper with you and this information, and so that whenever you have a cold reading and you're handed a scene like this, that you'll be able to start here, or take that those 6 questions and be able to really pick out a scene immediately. Cool? All right, thank you.